What the fuck's up? Grunge Bible's back, boys.
Welcome back, everybody. It is that time of the week again. The Grunge Bible podcast is pulling back into the station. This is episode number 34. My name is Chris Salona. Ethan Shalloway, you are with me once again, as usual. What's going on?
Chris, I'm doing pretty well. It's Monday. It's a really nice, brisk Monday. It's like 55 and sunny, I think. So feels really good. Had another normal weekend, nothing crazy. I worked on Saturday, but next weekend is daylight savings, I'm pretty sure, or fall back. Are you prepared for that?
I fucking hate daylight savings, and
Even though we save an hour.
I don't care. It gets dark at like 3:30 p.m. Who likes that?
Yeah, you're right.
And like, well, it's a catch-22 because, you know, I get up in the mornings and my work day starts at like, 6:30 in the morning. So the last week or two, it's been dark for the first like hour and a half of my day. But I'd much rather wake up in darkness than, walk out of the house to go throw the garbage out at 4 p.m. or go to the gym at 4 and have it be pitch black. Like that's no fun. I don't like it. It's just depressing. We need the sun.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's
dude. It's always
just like the song goes.
It's
true though. There's nothing like finishing work and having an hour, or if you finish work, go right to the gym. You don't have any time.
It's not healthy. You don't have any sun time. But you know what? Similar to you, it's a really nice day here today. It pretty much rained all of last week, but the weather finally broke yesterday.
It was crappy, yeah.
And we're welcoming in. We're recording this on November the 1st, so. The 11th month of the year is being rung in style here. It's about 56, 57 and sunny. Nice little wind. All the trees are magnificent colors. So really, in that regard, not much to complain about. In many other regards, I'm just grumpy today. So if I'm in a shitty mood, I apologize, but.
It didn't have anything to do with trick or treaters last night, did it?
No, like I live on the 3rd floor, so I mean, if any trick or treaters are. If they're shit out of luck, I got nothing for them.
Yeah, or they know that you live up there and they're just, friends stopping by, which is also cool. But
yeah, I'll just blast My Wave by Soundgarden. Like, don't come over here and piss on my gate. Save it, just keep it off my wave. That's what I should have done yesterday. That would have been prime. But nevertheless.
Yeah, but anyway, so we got a nice week ahead of us. Coming off of it's actually something coming off of your favorite Halloween holiday, going right into daylight savings. This is just prime.
Yeah, it's like
time,
a 1-2 punch. First, like they're both punches below the belt, and they happen in rapid succession of one another. The only redeeming factor about Halloween was we were able to get a lot of really, really good grunge and grunge related costume submissions. A lot of people dressing up as Kurt Cobain. Had some Chris Cornell in there, a couple of Lane dresser uppers as well, and maybe some Grohl action in there. But it's good stuff. I guess if other people can have fun with it, I shouldn't. If it's fun for them, good for them. But it's not fun for me.
Yeah. Well, it's okay, right? What was I going to say? But the good thing is now we've officially moved into Thanksgiving prep. I don't know. I'm sure that you're one who puts Christmas music on right after Halloween, right?
Honestly, the older I get, the more tempted I am to do that. I thought about it, but I try to wait until after Thanksgiving. But then I try to enjoy Christmas. I like Christmas a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Thanksgiving guy too.
Yeah, so I know that about you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to. I just got my ticket to go home. I have to be home with the family. I'm just, for some reason, Thanksgiving is I'm very thankful in my life, so I think that's why it resonates a lot with me. So I love the family time. I got a niece that I need to meet. My brother had a kid, so I have to go home.
These are exciting times.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to be good times. But nonetheless, what are we talking about today? Where do you want to start, Chris?
Well, like any good podcast journey in Grunge Bible land, we start at the most critical juncture, and that is we have to thank the people that make this podcast possible. So as we know, last week we had a couple of new individuals join the team for the top-level Patreon supporters. So right now, our roster of top-level supporters stands as follows. And we can thank our number one fan from Australia. We can thank Fuck Soup. And additionally, the tried and true members of Jamie Lynn, Victor Schaefer, Shannon Gorgone, Sonny Mashburn, Marianne, Laura Nyreen, Jade Mercado, Release, Alexis Shannon, Sue, and Kayla Jean. And additionally, we did have an individual after last week's episode join up on the middle tier of our Patreon. So we want to send a special thank you out to Brian Castillo Fajardo for hopping in the mix here and helping us to put these podcast episodes out. So another week, another individual who's decided to support the cause here.
We got a nice little streak going each week. It seems like we pick up one more person. And listen, if you're out there listening and like, you can't commit to anything, but we got 3 levels and it's all support based. So we right now don't have, too many incentives beyond you get to support Grunge Bible and you get your name said. But other than that, there's like the smallest one's like $2 a month. I mean, that's like less than most coffees at any coffee store.
It's a shitty cup of coffee at a shitty coffee spot.
Once a month. That's us. That's Grunge Bar. That's our new tagline, Chris. We are
cheaper than a shitty cup of coffee.
We are the shittiest cup of coffee that you can get once a month. So think about it like that, guys.
Think of how endearing that is. I mean, who doesn't want to be a part of that?
And the nice thing is you pay $2, you get 4 episodes in a month. So that's like 50 cents. So you're getting 4 shitty cups of coffee in a month called Grunge Bible. And it comes dark and black. There's no cream. There's no sugar. That's it should be.
It's ordered one way.
That's we are, Chris, that's our new thing. We're a shitty black cup of coffee.
Yep. You know what you're getting. And you know what? Be disappointed.
Yeah, you know what? Caffeine's like the biggest commodity in the world. So everybody drinks it. So
ain't that the truth?
You want to get aboard the old Grunge Bible coffee train that we are now. So
absolutely. So
I like that.
I wholeheartely agree. Now, before we get into the main offering, which is that shitty cup of coffee for this episode, we have a message in the fan mail inbox. So I'm gonna read this over the air. We got this email literally right after we had recorded last week's episode. We had this one, so we're circling back to it now. And we got a message, and it reads as follows. Hey guys, just thought I'd send an email to say how much I love the social media pages you guys have. I stumbled across the Facebook page originally and then found the podcast you guys do. I travel twice a week for work, and I found the podcast interesting to listen to. As a young person, I wasn't around to hear the songs when they were first released, and I love how you guys talk about different bands and what songs you rate. I'll be tuned into next week's podcast, so maybe do a little shout out to Adriana. Well, Adriana, we hope you're listening today. This is your shout out. We got your message right after we recorded last week, and we couldn't let another week go by without shouting you out.
Chris, that's an absolutely beautiful message.
That was fantastic. And there's more.
That really puts you in the mood to podcast. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy getting on the horn with you, but that's great that people actually listen and want to hear it. So you know what, Adriana?
If you like the first part, if you liked the first part, there's more to this fan mail.
Come on now, give it to me.
The second act, let's lock and load here. Loving the fact that Soundgarden are the hot topic at the moment. Who doesn't love them? And also, just a thought, in my opinion, but how great is Mike McCready, and how great are his solos? Call Me a Dog is beyond my favorite. Anywho, you guys are awesome, and I'll be monitoring your Facebook page as always. Stay cool, Adriana. Absolutely, Soundgarden and Mike McCready. Come on. It doesn't get better.
We could do an episode on that. We could do an episode. I mean,
fuck whatever we were talking about. Let's just talk about Soundgarden again and Mike McCready.
We talk about Mike McCready a lot.
We do.
As far as his showmanship on stage and obviously off, and I believe the beautiful facial hair that he has.
Some savage mustachery back when he was but a lad back in the early 90s.
I'm a little disappointed, Chris, that you went and shaved your beard completely off for November. But I guess are you starting fresh for No Shave November?
I haven't decided yet. So I hate beards, and I grew one for last month for Squattober. And as soon as that was over, I shaved it off. I enjoy the clean shaven look right now. We'll see. I love a mustache. It's just there's nothing.
I would say it's November. I got mine going.
If you're a guy, or if you identify as a male and you have the ability to grow facial hair, I mean, there's not a better option that you can do to build your character than to grow a mustache, in my opinion, in terms of things that you can do to your appearance. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, but there's a discipline in a mustache lifestyle that you need to accept.
I totally agree.
I think is very important. And speaking of, let's not brush over the facts. So Chris just finished Squattober, and he knocked it out of the park, went 550 on everybody. And I got one question for you, Chris, and that is, when you were down in the trenches, what song were you listening to? What was your song of choice for this year's Max Out Day? Because that's really all that matters. We talk about this quite a lot, that music is good for lifting. So what was in the earbuds?
It is wholeheartedly important, and I'm glad you asked. So historically, my go-to Max Out song is War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Yes.
But this year, as a matter of fact, I made my way over to some Audio Slave.
Oh,
and,
damn!
yeah.
I was hoping Primus, dude.
So
I was hoping.
If
Here
I
Come the
remember
Bastards.
correctly, obviously, you know, when you're in the fog of war, the memory is not the greatest. But if I remember correctly, I think "Light My Way" was the song that I was listening to when that weight went down into the hole and when it came back up. But you will be happy to know that John the Fisherman is on the playlist that I was listening to. And I believe I was able to listen to it. I had some Helmet on there as well. Some Love Battery, obviously a lot of Rage Against the Machine, a lot of Soundgarden.
Yeah,
I got my
Rage.
day going with Slaves and Bulldozers and
Oh, yeah.
Searching with My Good Eye Closed naturally. I mean, you can't start anywhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a great set list right there.
Yeah.
I know usually the War Pigs. Actually, I saw Camp on Friday night, the band.
Yes.
And believe it or not, they were playing a song and then they broke it down and they went into the beginning to War Pigs.
I would
was
not
a
expect
folk-
that from Camp.
No, and it was so funny because I was there with one of my friends who he's a heavy metal guy, and it came on, and as soon as like it went to the high, and I was like, War Pigs, and I was like, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we like freaked out. We're like, what? And it was like, you know, the backup guitarist had like super long hair, a big hat, and a beard, and it was like he was waiting the whole night to sing the opening, like, you know, intro, the first couple, you know, intro paragraphs, and it was awesome. They didn't
incredible.
go like too deep into it, but it was pretty sweet. I love when like folk bands or different bands play like
Absolutely.
total different genres like that. Yeah. So pretty cool.
100%. And, you know, and kind of speaking to that, you know, as we get ready to brew this shitty cup of coffee and serve it up to all the listeners out there.
The water's hot. The water's hot.
I mean, we're going to be talking about a man, a musician, a songwriter, an all-around good guy who certainly throughout his career has not shied away from venturing into different areas and has not shied away from expressing himself across time and space. And by the time this podcast comes out, the main subject of this podcast episode will be 1 week old, and that is nothing else other than
drum roll, please.
Jerry Cantrell's new album, Brighten.
Hell yeah. Wow, it took us, we went 15 minutes without letting the people know what we were talking about.
I know, yeah, we were really holding them on there. We were building that suspense there, but the cat's out of the bag. We're going to be talking about Jerry Cantrell. And it's funny, you know, with all of the talk that we do naturally about Alice in Chains and certainly about Wood, obviously, as you have to, you know, we've spoken about Jerry a good bit, but we've certainly never given him his due to have his own episode. And now's the time. And, you know, it's really incredible to me how remarkably consistent he's been for, you know, 30, 35 years at this point, and how just everything he does just seems to be good, and this album is no exception. Now, this album came out October 29th, so by the time everyone's listening to this, it'll be at least a week old. This was his first solo album since 2002's Degradation Trip, and it's his third total because he led off, I think, in 1998 with Boggy Depot. But it's just incredible how timeless all of his music, particularly his solo stuff, is, and just how cohesive really all three of these albums are. But, you know, we wanted to talk about Brighton a little bit today because I was certainly excited when I found out it was coming out, and you know, I think there were 3 singles that had come out prior to the album's release, but now it's all out, and I think it's time that we talk about it. But Ethan, what are your thoughts about the great Jerry Cantrell?
Oh man, him as a person and an artist and all of the things that encompass Jerry Cantrell.
Oh yeah.
It's no secret that we love him. He's probably my favorite guitarist from the Big Four. I think I like his I like the work that he does on all this stuff. I was going to say my initial reaction to the album after listening it all the way through, I put it on Saturday. I've only listened to it about one time fully through, and then a little bit earlier today. And I don't, not to be taken the wrong way, but this album I feel like fits well into the landscape of today, as it does, 30 years ago. I feel like it's not outdated, but it's not like, I guess, predated. Like, it doesn't feel like he's stuck in the past. Like, I feel like it does a really good job of mixing, like, just vintage Cantrell, as we like to say. Like, it's got his harmonies, it's got his guitar riffs, but then it has, like, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I should hear it on the radio. There's a bunch of songs that I feel like I should be able to be played on just like a regular radio, and that people nowadays, I feel like everybody should listen to this album. And you don't need to be a diehard AIC fan to really understand what's going on. Does that make sense? Would you agree? Do you think it like fits the landscape today? I don't know why. I don't know why it just came to me. And I was like,
I mean, certainly the modern rock landscape, and something about Jerry Cantrell. I think for some reason, like when I was younger, when I was first getting into like grunge rock and particularly Alice in Chains, and I guess just music in general, I always had this assumption when I was younger that whoever like the lead vocalist was probably the individual who was writing the music and writing the song. So I remember there was a point in time where I had learned that Jerry Cantrell was actually the chief songwriter of Alice in Chains, and he wrote a lot of the lyrics, even though Lane sang a lot of it. And I was shocked and I was impressed. Yeah. And I think anytime one of these artists comes out with a solo composition, especially this one, you kind of take a minute to take stock and just reappreciate how talented they are. And it's kind of like with Chris Cornell, he had such a good voice that you forget how good of a writer he was. And with Jerry Cantrell, he's such a good riff writer and writer of music that you forget what a good lyricist he is. And also his voice. I mean, his voice is so he sounds so similar. Yeah. And he sounds so good. And I don't know if it's luck or if it's a deliberate whatever it may be, but I mean, he just sounds timeless in my opinion. I mean, he's 30 years past when Dirt came out, basically. He's 29 years past Dirt, and he still sounds great. And I totally agree what you were saying about how I think a lot of these songs, I could hear them having their place right alongside all of the generic FM radio tunes of the world. And it is interesting because Jerry Cantrell growing up, it's fairly well documented, a lot of his musical interests, and he had a lot of country influence, back in the, when he was growing up in the 70s and the 80s. And you can definitely hear a lot of country influence on this one, especially, I think, Atone, the first song on the album was also the first single. And I mean, that one had a lot of country influence into it. I mean, it has a lot of, there's just acoustic guitars, there's, some steel guitar, some pedal steel, slide guitar, different things like that. And it was really interesting because I don't really know that he's, experimented in that way before on a record. So it's just kind of cool how he's blended a lot of styles. I mean, the last song on this album is a cover of an Elton John song. Mm-hmm. And it's really funny because that's another one that Jerry apparently is a lifelong Elton John fan. And, it's kind of cool he got to pay tribute to the man.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot about that till you said that, that it was a cover. So I'm excited to go back and give it another listen. But yeah, totally the Western rock theme is in there, and done really well. It's not too much for me because usually I don't really like I don't really like Western rock all that much.
Right, and I know you're not a country fan. Although I'm not a fan of modern country pop I think it's all bullshit, but
right. I think one of my favorite songs is gonna have to be, like I said, it's all very, I've only listened to it about 1.5 times through, but I really enjoy Prism of Doubt. Mm-hmm. I think that just overall it has a really good upbeat kind of melody to it, and just like the riff and everything is just really like the whole album is really quite, I don't know, up tempo in a way. I mean, it doesn't really drop out too much, which I think I like. I think I like that kind of. I mean, the album is called Brighten, so yes. I guess it fits the whole mantra. I haven't read too much about what he said about the album. Have you done any reading?
Yeah, I've done a little bit, and I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and it's interesting. I mean, obviously the music has done its job. Where if you haven't read anything, about what he's been saying about it, so he's done some press about it. And you're exactly right. I mean, the album is called Brighton, and he did an interview with Consequence. I'm assuming probably around last week, and he was just kind of talking about the album, and he said that it's a journey up through darkness to get to light, and obviously with Brighton, and then this particular song, Prism of Doubt, speaks a lot about that. And I think in the second verse, he's like, I can't believe how far we've come, and I want to keep trying, which is really, it's always interesting to me with someone who's as well traveled as Jerry, when you can kind of really compare and contrast. Yeah, because like what he's writing now versus some of the themes that he was discussing on his first solo album or with AIC.
Where he's been. Yeah, I mean, the history that he has as a person. Yeah. And what he's probably alluding to, like you said, he's 30 years removed from Dirt, and the life events in between there are vast, and something that as a 27 and a 25-year-old that we just are not going to understand until we have 30 years under our belt of doing something. That's really quite, it's always, I enjoy thinking about that. I enjoy thinking about Jerry writing an album and kind of, just basing it off of 30 years, 40 years of, life content to produce today's album. Yeah. So that's cool.
I agree 100%. And that's something that shines through with this album for me, is just the perspective that it brings. And I think, only until I think you've traveled that journey as Jerry has, and as a lot of these songwriters have, can you really write about or understand, just that compare and contrast of dark and light, and, fighting through the dark to get to light. I mean, the title track Brighten, which is probably my favorite, my favorite song on the entire album, in the second verse, he's kind of talking about this whole thing, and it's kind of weird. You get through hard times, and you're always aware of, what put you into the darkness. And the second verse in there, it's got the lines, and it says, "Better angels, but you don't pray. Push back on the darkness in which you damn well like to play." And I think that's something that people talk about a lot of times, where it's if you overcome something, and I think a lot of times with addiction or just different vices that you may have, there's always a part of you that wants to go back there. And I mean, that's why it's so powerful. And I think that line, push back on the darkness in which you damn well like to play. Like, you're aware of it, and it's a very real thing for you. And I think for Jerry too, with all that he's overcome in his life and all he's experienced, it's really interesting just to hear him, kind of blatantly identify that as just being something about it, but still with the theme of the album is kind of, Brighton. I mean, that song is Brighton, and it's just, it's really, really interesting. And that's always what draws me, towards music, is just kind of the message that it conveys. And Jerry is no stranger to doing that, and doing that well. And as we can see here on this album.
Yeah. Is he going to have, does he have any plans to tour with this album? He does. He does. Yes. Were you not looking to procure some tickets for this?
Yes. So I believe Jerry, I think it's called the Brighton Tour. But I believe he'll be playing the album extensively. I want to say it starts sometime after the first of the year, and he comes up towards my neck of the woods in April of 2020. Was it 2022? That's next year, right?
April of 2020. Yeah,
my math is correct. God, wow, that's
2022 is in like 3 months.
That's fucked up.
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
November.
60 days. 61 days. 11th.
Jeez, yeah,
that's crazy. Nevertheless, Jerry will be coming up to Boston, which is the closest city he'll be making a stop. I need to see him. He sounds so good. He's so talented, man. Yeah, he's so good.
Yep. And the now that we said it, we actually have a friend who has tickets to see him. So I'll have to check the calendar and see if he makes it to the South, anywhere around me that I could be able to go see him. That would be pretty fun.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, but I wonder, it is, and similar to you, I really need to go back a few times and listen with intent. And what I like to do, as we've spoken about, I like to sit down, listen to the music, and read along to the lyrics. But I know just hearing wise and just listening to it, a couple of the tracks that kind of stuck out to me. Obviously we had Brighton. Prism of Doubt I thought was really, really incredible as well. But then another one that stuck out to me was the sixth track, and it's Had to Know. And it just sounded like a total rocker. And it's even got a little bit of organ in there. I think there were three tracks.
That down too. I wrote that song down too.
Siren Song, Had to Know, and Nobody Breaks You. I think I heard some organ in all of them, which is really cool. And I'm all for musicians, experimenting with different sounds and including different elements. I mean, especially, he has the organ on here. He has those country elements that we spoke about that certainly, there was no pedal steel in any of Alice in Chains songs that I'm aware of, at least, So it's just really, really interesting how he was able to, create this, and he co-produced it. And, I love it when a guy like this really gets the keys, and he can kind of take it wherever he wants to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite a piece of work, quite a piece of art. Not surprised that he did it again, right? And he gave us something good to listen to. I mean, this is probably, I guess Pearl Jam's album was it 2019 or was it
2020? It came out, I think, like right as the pandemic got underway. Yeah, Gigaton.
Yeah, I guess that was the last thing that came out. So it's nice.
Well,
to have
you are forgetting Van Weezer.
How could I forget? Yeah, and I guess Dinosaur Jr. also sent out an album.
Modest Mouse can't. Well, then we're getting far off the reservation there.
Yeah, I think that didn't Mudhoney release something?
I think they did. They just did the 30th anniversary of Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. Right. I think they reissued that with some outtakes, but there's not many left.
Obviously.
Certainly of the big four. I mean, it really doesn't happen much anymore.
Pretty much Jerry and Pearl Jam are the only two that can release stuff with.
I am hopeful that we someday are able to hear whatever exists of the, long lost Soundgarden album that wasn't finished before Chris Cornell's death. I mean, that's something that, I'm not holding my breath to hear because I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I'd love for that one to come out. But you're exactly right. I mean, I don't think there's anything else really in the Nirvana vault. I mean, Pearl Jam, who knows if they make another studio album? I mean, they've been at it for 30 years. And same thing with Alice. But, I'd love to hear, another Eddie Vedder solo album, just as I loved hearing this. I loved hearing a new Jerry Cantrell album. His first in 19 years.
If you could request another album to pop up out of thin air, what would it be? Who are we getting to surprise us? Would it be an Eddie Vedder solo album, or does it have to be of like a group or an individual who is still with us right now? Yeah, they would. It would have to be realistic in the sense that there's no one coming back from the dead for this album, but somebody like maybe Jerry Garcia, comes.
He's back. That's a really, really good question. I'm kind of stumped on this. It wouldn't be another Pearl Jam album, honestly. I enjoy their newer stuff, but I think creatively I'm satisfied with the catalog of Pearl Jam that I have to listen to at this day and age, with 11 studio albums, a lot of outtakes, demos, and hundreds and hundreds of live concerts. Alice in Chains kind of the same way. I'm very happy with this new Jerry album, but I guess it'd be cool, if maybe if Mike McCready did something, maybe if he really let those blues rock chops fly somehow, or if or Eddie Vedder, I guess, but or if Dave Grohl ever did something solo, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. Which in a way, the first Foo Fighters demos were basically Dave solo, because I think he played most of the instruments for that, but I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, Dave Grohl acoustic. I love anytime he does acoustic stuff, and it would be pretty cool if he did like, I mean, there's even some songs that I would like to hear, but what if he did like I was gonna say, like, what if he did like an old Nirvana album with the current Foo Fighters band? Because sometimes he acts like he's gonna play "It Smells Like Teen Spirit." Like he'll lead into that, and then that would be kind of. I mean, it would be obviously could you imagine the comments we get on that one if oh my God, Dave Grohl hell played, would freeze over if they went back and played all the hits, like they just went and like played like an all-star set list, or if they just went ahead and played like all of Nevermind or something, but. Yeah, people would hate that for some reason, even though I think it would be really cool. And Dave Grohl, throwing gasoline on a fire. Yeah,
But it would be cool to. You're right. It would be really cool to hear Dave maybe do like an acoustic album, or with the band. I mean, another Foo Fighters album is. I mean, they put stuff out frequent enough that it wouldn't feel like as much of a treat.
You're not really itching for one, you know.
Right. Like yeah, exactly.
That's part of the mystique of it, and that's why Jerry. I mean, his last solo album was in 2002. So you know, as I developed my Alice in Chains fandom and my grunge rock fandom, you know, for what it is, that's something I was like, Jerry, like he's good. You know, I want to hear more from him. And, you know, now we're at the point where we're able to, because I've become quite a fan of his first two solo albums from 98 and 02. And now it's great to have another piece, you know, another horse in the stable. So we're excited about that. But yeah, it's great though, because it's like we were saying, it's not very often that we get these new developments in this little genre that we've decided to hop into. So we gotta take advantage of
our life to.
we gotta talk about them. Here's something: if one of us passes away in our eulogy or in our obituary, is Grunge Bible mentioned? Is it that important or what?
I mean,
like, are we known as like the grunge guy? And I don't think so. I hope not. I hope to do things more impactful than this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't need to mention anything about Grunge Bible.
That's the thing. I don't like it when like a friend of mine or something will mention it to another friend or a friend of theirs. I don't think it's cool. I don't like it when people are like, oh, he has this Instagram page that has like thousands of followers. I'm like, it's not cool.
I mean, Chris, let's be honest. We're pretty bad at promoting ourselves and boosting
terrible.
up. Which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to be good at that.
It's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. But like, I don't think that we have done a really good job of keeping our personal lives separate. Which, like I said, may not be a good thing, but it's nice because if I were to pass away, it would be. You don't need to bring it up, but
well, Ethan. I mean, one of us has to go first, so I think today we agree that whoever's still here. We'll see to it that it is not mentioned.
Yeah, Chris had a really specific rules that he does not want Grunge Bible to be brought up.
Yeah, it's just gonna go away. It doesn't.
They'll be like, "What?" They're gonna be like, "What is Grunge Bible?" And you'd be like,
"It's already too late."
I'm not allowed to talk about it. It's illegal for you to ask me that.
Yeah, it's like, it would be a disrespect to his memory if you brought it up. But yeah, no, I always think about that, and I've had some people just casually mention it to someone else that I'm with. I'm like, I don't like when you do that. It's not cool.
Yeah.
Especially with a podcast now. I mean, we're digging ourselves in deeper.
Yeah, Chris. I think we have a group chat with a couple of our closest friends, and it was so funny. For the listeners out there, you guys are really quite special, because even our closest friends, I was like, hey guys, like we want to know, like, what do you guys think about our podcast? Do you guys listen? What do you expect when you hear the Grunge Bible podcast? And be honest. And it's like, yeah, we don't really listen to you guys. Have no desire. Blah blah blah. And we're just like, one
of them made a good point. That like, we're already friends with you. We already talked to you, so we don't need to hear you talk more. Yeah. Which I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment, but
yeah. I like to think that. I mean, but Quinn was the opposite. He's like, yeah, you guys have good banter, and I know you, so it actually is a little bit easier for me to listen to.
Totally.
And I think the reason I sent that out, because I was talking to our producer Drew a little bit, and I was like, what do people expect when they hear the Grunge Bible podcast? Do they expect us to only do album reviews and stuff, or is it just like, I mean, it's just our podcast, and we go by the title Grunge Bible, so that's what I was kind of looking for. But it was interesting because
it's always funny,
because like I know my parents don't listen to the podcast.
Mine either. Yeah, like my mom.
I know my friends, like it's like that meme where at the parties, like they don't know that I have they don't
know about this thing.
They don't know that I have a podcast that's been running for 8 months.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always funny because I'll have some friends and I have some family members that if this thing ever pops up organically in conversation, they'll say, oh, I have to listen, or like, oh, I have to go and buy my sweatshirt. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I know you're not going to do it anyways. So just you don't even have to say that you will. It's fine. Yeah. That happens to me all the time.
Oh, yes.
But like, I don't want my family walking around in Grunge Bible sweatshirts. I want all of you, the listeners, to be doing that, because those two groups are mutually exclusive. No family members of mine listen to this thing.
And maybe that'll change. Maybe But I mean, we do it for our the people that follow the page, because they said they're not too much into grunge, so they didn't feel like the need to listen to. But anyway, besides the point, I have a funny anecdote from this past, since we talked about radio play, and I had texted you when it happened. I was driving to work and I had the local station on, and this noise came on the radio, and I was like, okay, this is bad. I was like, I don't like this. I was like, it sounds like it's trying to be everything for everybody, and all it's doing is being nothing for anybody. And it was so bad. I was like, it was like trying to be like this rap pop, and it was on like one of my more favorite stations. Actually, yeah, it was my secondary station, not Birmingham Mountain Radio, but the other one. And lo and behold, I was like, I already know. It's Imagine Dragons. This is off the new album Mercury. That if you remember from like four episodes ago, that Pitchfork wrote a scathing review.
They raked him over the coals.
And like that's why I said they try to be everything for all people, and they fell short and were nothing for anybody. And it in fact was a song from that album. And I just laughed in the car. I had to text you, Chris, and I was like, dude, I just heard a terrible song on the radio, and I knew it was Imagine Dragons, and I was right. This is hilarious. And I mean, I totally get it. It's like I listened to like half of that song, and I was like, yeah, they're trying to fit into the landscape, and they're trying to make a quick buck, and that's how you make shitty music. And it's exactly what it was. And I was like, you guys suck. You guys have gone so far away from the creative process of what you're supposed to be doing as musicians. And I mean, that's the type of selling out that I hate. And Imagine Dragons Mercury, put it in the trash, delete, archive it, whatever we're gonna do. But they should just clean themselves, clean slate. They shouldn't even have it attached to their name. So you know what I did, Chris? I went back, and then I switched the radio station, and then Absolute Banger came on. I couldn't believe it. It was a throwback. It was "This Is How I Remind You" by Nickelback, and I put it on the story for Grunge Bible, because the build at the end.
You never made it as a wise man, you know?
And how it just the syncopated like stops at the end. I mean, that is a great song, and I was reminded. That's how it reminds me. That nice
rolling riff. It's the same chord, just up and down the neck. It's great.
Oh, you only need one chord, Chris.
That's it. One chord and the goddamn truth.
Hey, at least he's playing chords. That other song that I heard,
it was
there's probably no guitar. There's no guitar to be found.
And here's the thing: if you're out there right now,
not the Kroger family. Those guys know how to put on a show.
Those guys know what's up. They know what the fuck is going on. And here's a word to the wise: if you're out there listening, there is some application to this whole Imagine Dragons story that Ethan just told.
That's exactly right.
He who tries to be all things to all people ends up being nothing to anyone.
Preach that. Preach it.
You're nothing to nobody.
Yeah, so and put that on my wall.
Find what you like, and that's it.
Put it on a shirt. Put it on a shirt. If you're trying to be all things for all people, you're going to be nothing for anybody, especially not yourself.
Yeah, and then you have nobody at that point. So you might as well just stick to what you know.
Drew, put that on a T-shirt. That's going up on the store immediately. Don't try and be all things for all people. That's good.
I
like that.
It's going to say "fuck Imagine Dragons," probably, right? And we'll get a cease and desist letter from whoever represents them, and then we'll engage in a very public feud, and it'll be great.
And then we'll have made it as talking heads in the world. Because
honestly, let me tell you, Ethan, we are due for a public feud.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever really had one.
That's probably a good thing.
We need to have our first feud.
All right, who are we going after? Imagine Dragons?
I mean, it's a good place to start.
Scott Stapp?
He's had a rough go of things. We like the Stapp. We like the Stapp father.
Yeah, what would a good public feud be?
Well, let's open this up to the listeners if they have any suggestions about who we can go after, because I mean I'm ready for this. I'm excited.
Give us some suggestions. We'll back up pretty much anything that you guys want.
Yeah, I'll put my neck out on the line for just about anything, no matter how intelligent or unintelligent it is. So,
what's the worst that could happen, right?
Control Alt Delete, Ethan. That's it. No more Grunge Bible. What a shame.
Oh man. Well, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got that off my chest. I
could tell that was stewing for a little bit. It had been, I think it was 2 days ago that you texted me that, so it was only natural and only right that we spoke about it today.
Yeah. I mean, just, Yeah, just exactly how you picture shitty music being made in the industry, kind of thing.
Well, you know what? That kind of this conversation has got my my heart rate up a little bit. I'm a little riled up. So I think before we close it down, I think we bring these levels back down with a little song of the week action, if that sounds like a good plan to you.
Yep, sounds great. I'll let you go first because I need to quick do a refresher. I don't have my phone on me, so usually I look at the most recent songs that I've listened to and liked. So I'm going to have to do this one straight off the cranium.
Absolutely.
Which is fine.
Just like the pioneers used to do it. So my song of the week, for some reason this weekend, I guess a little background. I didn't really do much this weekend. I don't know, no crazy stories. I slept a lot. I slept like 10 hours one night, and I slept like 8.5 the other night. So yesterday I was sitting home, and for some reason, I decided to get really into like Midwest, like emo rock. Like I think sometimes they call it math rock. So a lot of like, like your modern baseballs of the world. I mean, your American football, like all those bands. And that genre has always been like on my to-do list of, hey, I really need to listen to these, these bands and this music because I think I would like it. And yesterday I decided to take the leap. And I started to make a playlist of all of my favorite Midwest emo songs, which is kind of a funny moniker because I lived in the Midwest for a long time, and I don't know that I particularly feel like these encompass the Midwest, but I guess that's why I did not name the genre. But my song of the week is one of these songs that I discovered yesterday, and it was by a band that's no longer together, but the band was called You Blew It, and the song is called The 50s, and it's from their album called Grow Up Dude. And it's exactly, if you know that type of genre, like that kind of like, not punk, but just like the emo, like, really, really shimmery guitar, like definitely a Telecaster with a capo on the second fret, kind of one of those jobs. And it's a little bit of a slower song, but, I really, really liked it, and it really fit the vibe for yesterday. It's just like this weird, well, I guess it's not a surprise that I'm really into this because the last couple of weeks I've been listening to a lot of Sunny Day Real Estate, and I think they were one of the forefathers of this movement, if you will. So it kind of all bookends, but I don't think I'm going to stop exploring this genre for a little bit. So maybe even next week I'll have another one from it. But for this week, it is The 50s by You Blew It.
I love it. I love that genre. I've been there before. Is it best? Be careful as it gets darker earlier listening to the emo rock.
That's the problem, man. Is someone sat in here yesterday at like, I don't know, 5:45, and I'm sitting on the couch watching the football games, and next thing you know, you're starting to listen to all this sad music, and that you got to watch out for the big sad in the winter, man.
Yep, especially with emo rock and with with like punk rock. I mean, it's all great. I mean, I love a lot of those Slaughter Beach Dog. Modern baseball, American football, and
maybe some moose blood action going on in there. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. Even the Menzingers are in there too. Duster, a lot of good bands out there.
Yeah, there's I think did I I'm trying to think if I use this as my song of the week, but I've Hot Mulligan is one of my favorite.
Yes, you did have a bands. Hot Mulligan as your song of the week.
Yeah, and I was going to suggest you listen to them. Not going to be my song of the week. My song of the week is actually going to be a song by Pete Yorn, and it's called For Nancy. And I heard it on the radio again, and it has a similar. It's not punk, but he sings it in a nice kind of grittier manner, and it's just been a really great song to kind of catch on the radio, and. Yeah, Pete Yorn, For Nancy. I'll just leave it at that, and just hopefully you guys go listen to it, and you'll know why I picked it. It's good.
Right on. So, well, I think Ethan, this has been one good shitty cup of coffee that we've served up to the listeners.
That's
this week.
Exactly right. And it only costs 50 cents for the week.
Yeah. If you break it down like that, 50 cents a week.
I mean, Chris, you can find that in your couch cushion.
I probably could.
You could definitely find that in the center console of your car.
Oh, and absolutely. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and probably find that double underneath your bed or in the washing machine. So don't wait. Just go and like, subscribe. Help the algorithm. We're all about those algorithms, man. It'll be easier for people to see us. And then buy yourself a shitty cup of coffee once a month called Grunge Bible.
Absolutely. Well, I think that does it. The pot's just about run dry for this week, and And we have to go back to the store and get our materials ready, and
we got some good stuff coming though, right, Chris?
Get to work on future brews. It's going to be very, very important.
That's exactly right. Yeah, good episode, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man.
That's great. I can't wait to check up on you next week and do it all over again.
Yep. Until eternity, Ethan.
Signing off from the Grunge Bible studio. I'm Ethan Shalloway. Thank you, Chris.
I'm Chris Salona. I hope you guys had a wonderful time listening, spending the last 45 minutes with us, and can't wait to do it again sometime soon.
How about next week?
Next week sounds great. Book it. Right. We're doing it.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Take care, everybody. Be well. I think we're not made of money.
No, we're not. All right, let's do this.
All right,
bring us in, Chris.
All right.
How now, brown cow.
Synchronization. That's important.
It's Grunge Bible, baby.
Let's get this shit going. Back. Let's pop this motherfucker off. Just like Chris Cornell said, let's set this fucker off.
Let's blow this top down. Top off, whatever.
Let's roll the top down and take our top off. Maybe we could do a calendar, Grunge Bible calendar.
I got this on my desk.
Fuck yeah. Mine's somewhere. I don't know where it is. My lighter died, so I got to get another lighter for candles, but
I got lighters everywhere just in case.
That's a tried and true, man. Hey, dude, we're at 8 days.
Do we talk about AOC?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. An occasional cigarette.
8 days since last cigarette.
Dude, yeah, set the board up. We got 8. We got 8 days on the calendar now.
I actually want to get a whiteboard and put 8 days since last cigarette. All right, bring us in. Let's do it.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to sit the fuck